Good morning, everybody. Pastor Brad from New Covenant United Church of Christ in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and this is this week's edition of Story Time. This week's edition of Story Time is for the second Sunday after Pentecost, June 2nd, 2024, and our featured text is our gospel lesson, Mark chapter 2, verse 23 through Mark chapter 3, verse 6. And this week, we got our paddles back, the fact and fiction paddles. We've used these before. We've used them a couple times before. But today's game is what we're doing, fact or fiction, from readersdigest.com, their list of 50 silliest laws in every state. And this was published on readersdigest.com back in June of 23. And so we're going to do fact or fiction. Is this truly a silly law, or is it something made up? So fact or fiction, going to play fact or fiction. Is this a silly law or something totally made up? So in Skamania County, Washington, Bigfoot poaching is a felony punishable by $1,000 fine and 10 years in prison. Fact or fiction? Poaching Bigfoot, $1,000 fine and 10 years in prison. What do you think? Fact or fiction? If you said fiction, you'd be correct. There is a law about poaching Bigfoot in that county in Washington, but it's only punishable by $1,000 fine. There's no prison time associated with poaching Bigfoot. Apparently, Bigfoot is a endangered creature, so there's a fine associated if you poach Bigfoot. In Gainesville, Georgia, finger licking is not a suggestion, it's mandatory. It is illegal to eat fried chicken with anything other than your fingers. Fact or fiction? What do you think? Fact or fiction? If you said fact, you'd be correct. In Gainesville, Georgia, you are forbidden from eating fried chicken with utensils. You must eat it with your fingers. Galesburg, Illinois. Illinois city law strictly prohibits fancy riding. Riding a bicycle on city streets with both hands removed from the handlebars, both feet removed from the pedals, or any kind of acrobatic shenanigans. What do you think? Are people prohibited from fancy bike riding in Galesburg, Illinois? What do you think? Fact, fiction, fact. You're prohibited from riding on the city streets in Galesburg, Illinois from fancy bike riding. No hands off the handlebars, no feet off the pedals, no wheelies, no any acrobatic shenanigans. I love that word, shenanigans. But the police chief says it's very rarely enforced. So play the game, check out some other silly laws, Google silly laws, find some silly laws, try and figure out if those are real or made up. The reason we're talking about laws is because in our text, Jesus is criticized for breaking laws. These Pharisees are a group of religious leaders, and they follow the religious laws. They're very strict about following the religious laws, and they get upset when they see Jesus doing work on the Sabbath. Instead of resting on the Sabbath, Jesus permits his disciples to pluck grain so that they can eat. Instead of resting on the Sabbath, Jesus heals a man with an injured hand. And so they get upset because Jesus and his disciples are not strictly following the religious laws like they think is the correct way to do. Yes, it is important that we rest. But God didn't intend for us to rest instead of meeting our own basic needs or helping others to meet their basic needs. God didn't intend for us to rest over helping someone. Yes, rest is important, but more important is caring for one another. Yes, rest is important. It's an important part of caring for ourselves, but so is making sure that our other basic needs are met. Yes, it's important that we take time to rest, but more important is loving ourselves and loving one another. May it be so. Thanks be to God. Amen. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the message. Hope you'll join me each and every week as we pause for another few minutes of children's story time where we relate the scriptures to some type of game or activity that we do each and every week. So thank you so very much for joining me. If you're ever in the Williamsport area, I hope that you'll join me for worship here at New Covenant United Church of Christ in Williamsport, PA. And if you're not able to join us in person, hope you'll join us virtually. Peace, blessings, love, and prayers, everybody. Bye-bye.